I like to research. I like the stats. Let's take a look at the second ever battle between Oklahoma and Michigan, right? So these two teams battling it out down there in Norman. As we know, there's a lot of history here too. Michigan head coach Coach Moore, he was an Oklahoma O lineman under head coach Bob Stoops at Oklahoma, so there was that relationship. But on the field, these are two teams with new quarterbacks going head to head. Break this one down for me in Norman, because Michigan struggled offensively. Oklahoma had a quarterback that had the fan base rallying around him for the entire game, it felt like, and Oklahoma was able to come out victorious.
Yeah, it's two college football blue bloods, man. You have to really appreciate when you get to see those matchups, right, in college football, especially early on in the season. Something that a college football fan shouldn't take for granted. And like you said, it was a introduction of two quarterbacks, right? I like to call it the battle of unknown or the battle of variables, if you should say, right? It was one of those games where with Underwood and Mateer, it was who's going to show up, right? Who's going to prove themselves at the Power 5 level, Power 4 now. And I think John Mateer really decided to show up, right? And that level of John Mateer that we saw against Michigan was really, really, really impressive. But on a tertiary note, like I got a lot of question marks about how good Michigan really is. And then when I say that, I don't say that to undermine Oklahoma. Okay, Oklahoma did a lot of things good, right? John Mateer looked really good in times, had some errors that he can't make in SEC play, and I think Oklahoma fans will be the first to tell you that. But the Michigan team just didn't look like a Michigan team. That offensive line was getting bullied. Okay, that defensive line was getting bullied. That team did not, tackling wise, they did not look good. Their play calling offensively really questionable. Underwood struggled. Okay, like so the Oklahoma team, like that for Oklahoma. If I'm an Oklahoma fan, I'm really excited. That's like the biggest win in Norman, probably of the Brent Venables era. Really exciting. That front seven was ferocious, man. Their defense looked really, really good. Their D line looked really good. Like shout out, right? So when I say I don't really know how good Michigan is, that's not to undermine Oklahoma, right? Like I just want to make that like very abundantly clear, because I think Oklahoma looked really, really good at times. But for Oklahoma has to figure out the rushing game, okay? Because John Mateer is not going to be able to run for 74 yards in the SEC very often, okay? And that's just the reality. And in the SEC, if you don't have a strong running game, you don't win that many SEC games, okay? And that's just the reality. So I don't know what the issue is there. I don't know. Jaden Ott's not ought to go, okay? OTT. I can give you the whole song if I need to, thanks to the Calgorithm. I don't know what's wrong with that running game. That running game's got to figure out for OU. The good news is they didn't need the running game much other than Mateer's legs, because that Michigan defense did not. Michigan defense, I don't know. I mean, yeah. They looked like a failure from every level. Like this game, the final score was 24-13, but I felt like Oklahoma won by 21. Like I felt like Oklahoma never really was ever going to lose that game. I didn't feel like Oklahoma was threatened by Michigan. I don't know if you felt the same way, but I really thought that Oklahoma clearly looked like the better team. I guess that defense was on the field like quite a bit, but that defense that wasn't the Michigan defense we're used to seeing. That wasn't the Michigan defense that beat Ohio State last year. Like that was really shell shocking. And if you're Sharon Moore, you got to get that turned around, and now you can't coach or be in the facilities for 2 weeks. So really interesting there, and that's kind of my thoughts on that game.
No, totally. And I think the most impressive part from Oklahoma's standpoint was that in that last drive, everyone knew Oklahoma had to run the football to keep the clock going, and against a Michigan defensive line like we've known Michigan to have, right? They're hard to run against. Well, Oklahoma drove the bus right through Michigan's front yard. It was a long drive. It cut clock. They did exactly what they needed to do. Run. And for me, it was the fact that what Oklahoma proved to me is they're good beyond just the flashy things, right? Like we saw Mateer do what he had to do, 21 of 34 with 270 yards, one touchdown through the air, a couple on the ground. But it wasn't just the flashy stuff. It was also the trench work. And that was so evident, I thought, on that last drive, because they did what they had to do early. They got up 14-0. They held their own. I thought that was big. It was just a level of toughness from Oklahoma that I was not surprised, but kind of delighted to see, right? Like I knew that they had the flash and all the talk about Mateer, but I didn't know if they were one of those get down to it kind of teams. And I think for a while they took advantage of Michigan not having Jayshon Barham in the game. I thought that was a pinpoint that they were trying to do because they were really trying to attack where he would have been. And I guess almost to hype up the Oklahoma fans, like, let's not forget, since the end of World War II, there's no team that's won more games in college football than the Oklahoma Sooners. And I'm not saying they're back because they have a very tough road ahead with, I mean, they play 7 teams in the top 25 this year. As of right now, they got Bama, Texas, LSU, Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Michigan a couple nights ago. They have a very tough schedule, but there was a level of attraction, of like loud, like that environment looked crazy. And I think it has to do with the play of John Mateer. And there's an element there that I know they mentioned it on the broadcast being Baker Mayfield-like, where he has the ability to kind of encapsulate the feeling and the feeling of hope, building it back up. I think he's a talent mix between like a Bo Nix and a Baker Mayfield. I think that's a weird sort of combination of skill sets, but I'm watching him. I'm like, well, he can run, he can throw, he feels in control, but he's also like hype. He's getting after it. Like they had some juice.
Yeah, I mean Oklahoma and John Mateer, very unlike Baker Mayfield for college football fans because Baker Mayfield was not very liked, right, at the college football. OU fans, you loved him, and I've grown to love Baker in college because I think he just brought a level of aura and swagger to the game that can't be duplicated, right? But John Mateer, college football fans all liked him, right? We all kind of fell in love with John Mateer last night and what he was able to do against Michigan. And I'd just like to say one thing too, like shout out Bill Beatonball. Okay, their offensive line coach did a really fantabulous job. There's been a lot of question marks about this offensive line. This was an offensive line that last year was not good. Okay, to be fair, Oklahoma as a whole last year was not very good, right? But with that being said, I mean Bill Beatonball did his thing. They've got to get better in run blocking, and they've got to get that figured out, right? Like your quarterback usually can't be your leading rusher. Okay, like that shouldn't be the case. Javante Barnes and Blake both only had 24 yards each, and Jade not only had 9 yards and 4 carries. Like that's a really big. You didn't pay Jade not all that money for him to get 4 carries and 9 yards. Okay, and you told me before the game he was a full go. Okay, like you Arbuckle said we're gonna put him here, we're gonna do him here. Like you said a lot, and then for him to do that it was just really weird for me. But they didn't need him, so on the bright side for Oklahoma fans. But yeah, like I was really impressed. I think there was a moxie kind of feel around John Mateer and that fan base. He's like the hope, right? That fan base was they needed hope. Okay, they've had a rough go. The Brent Venables era has not been a full go for Oklahoma. They've this is a do or die year for him. I've said it once. I've said it all off season. If he doesn't get it done in Norman, there will be a lot of problems this year in Norman, right? If he doesn't win at least 8 games with this roster, and I think some Oklahoma fans would tell you even more, then there's going to be some people with some please fire Brent Venables signs outside of their football facility at the end of the season. But Oklahoma looked really good, really impressed. I was most impressed by their front 7. Really, like I said, I wish I would have got to see more from their secondary. But speaking on that point, Michigan, man, their play calling, disastrous. Okay, I don't understand.
I was very surprised by that.
I was having a conversation with somebody this morning, and I was like, dude, it looks like Michigan watched the Texas OU film and said, hey, we can do what Texas does
literally
against OU.
Thank you.
And in the back of my head, I said, you don't have the receivers. You don't have the talent to do that. Your scheme isn't fit to do that. You don't have the speed. Your receivers couldn't block on a screen to save their life, for starters. The OU DBs were making your receivers look like you guys have never practiced blocking in your life.
JV team.
And I just didn't understand the play calling, and Underwood like breaks pumped. Okay, I said it last week to you, and I don't know if we got to talk about it on the podcast, whether it was before or after. I said Bryce Underwood looked okay, and you kind of looked at me like, and I said he looked okay. I don't know why we're reaching for like why we're trying to make grape soda with grapes, because like we don't have enough ingredients yet to see what Bryce Underwood really is. And that's a really hard environment. Norman is hard to win at, but Bryce Underwood did not impress me. And Michigan fans shouldn't be impressed, but at the same point, Michigan fans should also be patient. Okay. The reality is he's a freshman. This kid's 18 years old. as much as he's going to say I'm the best freshman you're ever going to see, and he can add that self-confidence, you need to have the awareness that that might not be the case, and that's okay, right? But and also Underwood looked bad because Oklahoma's front seven made him look bad. Okay,
Yep.
Brent Venables masterclass,
Yep.
an absolute beautiful game from BV and Co. Really, really, really impressive. I wish because the Michigan play calling was so bad, I didn't really get an assessment on excuse me, on Oklahoma's secondary, which I would have loved to see. But ultimately, due to a really, really good game. And before we leave this game, I just wanted to say one thing. Oklahoma fans, if you made it this far, I hope you haven't thought I've been rude or about your bias towards your team, but I'm gonna say one thing, and I mean this with the most amount of due respect. I don't like preseason rankings. I don't believe in preseason rankings. Preseason rankings are there to sell tickets, build hype, and TV
They
ratings.
are
Okay,
stupid.
so the preseason ratings are there for your own amusement. Okay, college game day needed somewhere to go this week, and they wouldn't have a place to pick where to go this week if they didn't have preseason rankings, right? So like the Norman, do not get me wrong, you guys showed up, showed out, you were loud and proud and supported your team to pull off an upset. Shout out you guys, right? But this is also one of those things where it's like, how good are both these teams really? And I don't know, right? I don't think like Oklahoma looked like they had some swagger. Looked like they had a lot of fun. That front seven looked really, really good. John Mateer had definitely looked really good at times. But these teams were not great last year. Case in point, obviously it's a full new year, but the question is how good can both these teams really be? I think is one we'll find out down the line. But impressive, Michigan fans. Might be a long season for you guys.
It's the first time Michigan had been held scoreless in the first half in just over 5 years. I thought Underwood never really cut loose. I would have loved to see that. I thought it was kind of a sheltered play calling situation, like you mentioned. It was kind of just confusing. Like if he's this star that we speak of, where is it? Almost similar to exactly what we talked about Arch Manning. It was a little laid back. I wish they would have let him go, let him cut loose a little bit. I mean, you can tell just by production. I mean, Michigan 280 some odd yards to Oklahoma's 400 in total offense. First down differentials, I think Oklahoma had 10 more first downs than that of the Wolverines. So just, I mean, not the best day for Wolverines fans on offense. And shout out to Oklahoma. That's a big win. I think they needed that win to help them over their next couple of weeks because it's not going to get much easier for the Sooners down in Norman. Now,
I'd like to just say, sorry to interrupt you. Oklahoma won by double digits and they lost the turnover battle 2-0. In
yep.
college football, when you see a team lose the turnover battle by 2, the odds that team won and by double digits is very low. So really good shout out to Oklahoma. And like I said, Oklahoma should have won by more. I'd be a lot happier if I was an Oklahoma fan if Oklahoma won by more. Regardless if I'm an OU fan, I'm happy, dude. There's hype around Oklahoma football again. I mean, take a deep breath. Okay, there's hype in Norman. Okay, it's been a while, dude. Norman, they've
Yep.
been in a drought. It's been the Arizona desert in terms of hype lately. So I think it was really cool to see Gaylord Memorial rocking and to win a game, to win time of possession, but you had 2 turnovers to outgain them by almost 130 yards. Just really impressive. Really, really impressive by Oklahoma.